What is going on, everyone? This is Eric coming at you from just outside of Hartford, Connecticut. And today we're going to be doing our first part of our NHL Rant series. And we're going to start with the Western Conference in the NHL, Part 1. Now, this will be a two-parter just because I don't have enough to say about teams to make it, where every team has their own video. I can't conceivably fit 8 teams on this whiteboard. So this is where we're at, and it's a little easier. It breaks down the videos a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm doing the last 4 teams alphabetically in the conference, going that way. So of course we're going to have the Vegas Golden Knights, then the Vancouver Canucks, San Jose Sharks, and Los Angeles Kings. So without further ado, we'll jump right in and start with the Vegas Golden Knights. And my biggest problem with them is they started off too good, too fast. So nobody wanted to see an expansion team make the finals in their first year. All right, it was cool when they made the playoffs. It's like, oh, cool, they're going to get killed now, though. They don't have the heart, they don't have the soul. No, the West rolled over for them, and they made the finals. It was despicable, and they were just too good, too fast. It's not fair to people who live in cities like Buffalo that support the Sabres, or, Vancouver and support the Canucks. These teams don't have cups. And it's just sickening that Vegas comes in their first year and they make a Stanley Cup final appearance. And to make matters worse, my bullet point 2 here is they ended up losing in the final to the Washington Capitals, a team that did not have a cup. And as a Flyers fan, that just annoys me even more because now Ovechkin has a cup, which leaves Giroux as the only guy in the Metropolitan, the big name, the big three, arguably big three, Crosby, Ovechkin, and Giroux. Obviously, Giroux's the third of those three, that doesn't have a cup. So it's just like, come on. You lost to the Washington Capitals in the cup after taking a 1-0 lead, then you blew it 4 games in a row. It's just, come on. You had my support in the final just because I didn't want to see Washington win, and you blew it. You blew it. AHL affiliate, my third point. So they got rid of the San Antonio Rampage to move their team closer to Vegas, and they're calling them the Silver Knights. I don't understand that. Look, the San Antonio Rampage were a team for a long time. I remember watching them play in Hartford probably back in 04, 05. And now you're just getting rid of them. And here's my big problem with that, too. They didn't get to say goodbye to their fans. Because remember, the pandemic hit, so they just had to stop playing. The AHL just shut down the season. So we didn't even get to see, if you're a Rampage fan, you didn't even get to say goodbye. They just left. They put out a tweet and they said, thank you everyone in San Antonio. That's it. So again, that's not necessarily on the Golden Knights, but the fact that they moved the team, that is on the Golden Knights. Mascot. So I don't know what the heck their mascot's supposed to be. Let me start that off. I just don't understand it. And yes, I'm a Flyers fan, so we have Gritty. I don't know what he's supposed to be. But, I don't understand it. If you're the Golden Knights, you should have a knight as your mascot, from medieval Europe. But were you afraid to make a knight your mascot? Were you afraid some college or high school would sue you because knights are a common name? Then you shouldn't name yourself the Golden Knights. All right? No, I just don't get it. Your logo has, a knight. Well, the mask, helmet, whatever you want to say, of a knight. So you should have a knight as your mascot. But no, you don't. And you think your mascot's better than Gritty? Fact check, he's not. Personnel. So I have no problem with Ryan Reeves. And this personnel move is just because, a lot of people don't like him. And people hate Ryan Reeves. I don't mind him. I like the enforcer type. So I just had to include this part here. And then there's other guys on the team. Marc-Andre Fleury, obviously a longtime Penguin. I can't stand the guy. And he's probably off the team. They're looking to trade him. But we'll see. And then why Vegas? Yeah, why did Vegas get a team? Why did Las Vegas get a team over far more deserving cities like Quebec or Hartford? Or even, I get it. Trust me. I do understand Vegas more than Seattle. But I'm sorry, Quebec and Hartford deserve teams more. Even Louisville, you can make a case, deserves something. Some Kentucky area, someone in Kentucky, maybe not Louisville. Even Memphis, you can make a case for them having a team. Vegas, though, come on. Vancouver Canucks, 2011 Stanley Cup final. You make it and you lose to the Bruins. So that alone upsets me. Obviously, I'm from Connecticut and I don't like the Bruins. So had you beaten the Bruins, guess what? It would have been great. Boston wouldn't have a ring in my lifetime, which is perfect. I don't want the Bruins to have a ring, but instead they got one. And it ruined everything. But what made things worse for Vancouver is they proceed to riot and tear apart their city because you lost the Stanley Cup. And I get it. You made it about 15 or something years before that, and you lost to the Rangers. But you shouldn't be rioting and tearing apart your city. Like, I just never understood that. I remember seeing the newspaper headlines and the clips on the TV talking about the riot in Vancouver because they lost the Stanley Cup final. Come on. The only other hockey riot we've really seen is the Rashad riot over in Montreal after, he was suspended. Maurice Rashad was suspended for some garbage call, and basically it was a racist thing because, the commissioner of the NHL at the time did not like the French-Canadian players. So, but you shouldn't be rioting and tearing apart your city. And I'm just going to mention the Green Men real quick here because I never really had a big problem with the Green Men. It was kind of cool to watch their antics and all that. But it just, at the same time, if you're an opposing player, you didn't like them. If you're an opposing fan, you didn't like them. They were causing distractions or whatever. Again, I had no problem with them. I just had to mention them here. And they did, condemn the riots. They said, no, you shouldn't be rioting. This doesn't represent us. Congratulations, Bruins. And of course, the Sedin twins. I didn't mind the Sedins, okay? This is more about the fact that you wasted the Sedin twins' careers. The Sedins were amazing, and you just threw their careers away because your team sucked. You made one cup appearance, you lost, and you rioted. The Sedins are both Hall of Famers at some point, and you couldn't do anything with them. From when you drafted them to then, to when they retired. You couldn't do it. And it's just disgusting that you wasted their careers. San Jose Sharks. So the Sharks, of course, real quick, 2016 Cup loss. Who'd they play? The Penguins. So I can't stand you when you lose to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the Cup. I was rooting for you big time, and you lost to the Penguins. So now Crosby gets to cheer about his little cup. Okay, I don't want to hear it. San Jose should have won that series, but they got outmatched. Martin Jones stood on his head making plays, and the team got killed. So, go with Rooting Gritty's debut. So when Gritty made his, NHL debut as a mascot, the Sharks won the game 8-2. Now, it was 7-1 for a little while, and then they ended an empty netter in a 7-1 game. That's just rude, if you ask me. And yeah, I get it. Look, it's hockey. You got to do that stuff. But you shouldn't be adding an empty netter when you're up by 6. And it was Gritty's debut game. So, of course, we wanted to see a win for Philadelphia. But they got killed 8-2. So, Justin Braun trade real quick. Again, Flyers fan. Horrible trade. I couldn't believe they traded a second and a third for the guy. He doesn't do it anymore. And then the Flyers just signed him to an extension recently. No. And then the refs gave the Sharks Game 7 against Vegas in the playoffs in the 2018-19 season. Round 1. Vegas is cruising through the game, up 3-0. And then what do the refs do? Or 4-0, whatever it was. What do the refs do? The refs give them some garbage call. They call it as a major penalty. And it was a horrible call that shouldn't have been that call. And it gave the Sharks the game over Vegas. I was rooting for Vegas in that series. And it was just, come on. I couldn't believe they did that. And then what's worse is the Sharks ended up making a run before finally losing to the Blues, but in the Western Conference Finals. But, I mean, just, it wasn't a fair game. It wasn't fair to the Golden Knights. And yeah, I just ranted about the Golden Knights, but lastly, we have the LA Kings, who unfortunately I don't have a great color for, so they get this color. First and foremost, Wayne Gretzky. They got Gretzky because the NHL wanted Americans to get into hockey, and specifically Californians. That's just not fair to the Edmonton Oilers. That's not fair to everyone else because the NHL essentially forced the Oilers to trade him. So they got peanuts for the greatest player of all time. You should no. No. And what's worse is, they didn't do much with Gretzky, the best player of all time. You just kind of sat there. And Gretzky, again, best player of all time. And you just wasted him. 54. So you might be saying, what is 54? Pretty simple. So 54 is the amount of fights the Kings had with the Hartford Whalers. Remember, I'm a Hartford Whalers fan. The minute, if the Whalers come back, even if the Flyers are Cup champions, I'm becoming a Whalers fan. So, 54 fights against my team. I remember that. Thank you to hockeyfights.com for that number. And that's the biggest number of fights the Whalers had with any Western Conference team. So, had to include it. Good rivalry with Hartford. Last point to make in this episode, they're arch rivals with the Anaheim Ducks. Now, if you've seen previous NHL videos before, you know that the Anaheim Ducks are my Western team. So they're like my third or fourth, probably fourth team overall. And this is their arch rival, the Kings. So that's just a knock on them, on the Kings. I really don't have a big rivalry with the Kings. But yeah, I do quickly want to say, I'm going to start giving good points where I rate team now. Vegas, good point. You lost to the Flyers in one of your first games. I don't have much to say. Vancouver, I've never had a problem with Vancouver, and I always liked Hendrik Sedin. I don't know why I liked him more than Daniel Sedin. I always liked him. San Jose, my cousin's a big fan of San Jose. And, yeah, I mean, you got Joe Thornton, who I also never disliked. And LA, you gave Mike Richards and Jeff Carter rings, so I appreciated that. But that was our Western Conference rant, part 1. We'll be getting part 2 at some point soon. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your day.